Hi everyone, so I am working through my very massive video list and I have wanted to do Georgia Harris's makeup collection tag for a very long time, and I'm finally doing it and I'm very excited. And I think, you know what, this is probably the best time for me to be doing it as opposed to back when she had originally done the tag, because she did the tag and then she just redid the tag about a month or so ago. But I'm very inspired by Georgia. She's wonderful and I am very excited to go through her tag questions. So there are 14 questions. I have them all here on my phone, of course. So question 1 is, how long have you been collecting makeup? So this is kind of a difficult answer because I feel like I've gone through a few different stages in my life where I've collected makeup, but I also feel like I've let quite a bit of it go, especially recently where I've definitely downsized my living situation. I've had to let go of a lot of stuff. I have made some videos in the past talking about some of those memory makeup things that I've kept for a long time, but I think the first stuff I started to keep, I was probably around 12. I don't really have many relics left from when I was collecting makeup before. I think some of the things that come to mind that I've kept recently, and I say recently as in like the last 7, 8 years or so. I know I kept the couple of products I had from the Marilyn Monroe MAC collection, just a few little simple things like that that I kept. So generally, okay, so if I started collecting makeup when I was 12, I'm 31 now, so that's a very long time. I kind of don't want to say that it's been almost 20 years of collecting makeup, but it's been almost 20 years. Question 2 is, what kind of collection do you have? Minimal, utilitarian, aesthetic, historical, etc. I would say it's a mishmash right now. I don't think I will ever have a minimal makeup collection. I don't think my collection would ever be utilitarian. I would love a historical makeup collection. Like, I would love to have some sort of like vintage makeup archive like Lisa Eldridge has, not to use but just to look at, and that's sort of the problem. Like, that stuff is what I really view as like a makeup collection and not just stuff that's sort of easily disposable, like the vintage compacts and just the real historical type makeup. That really appeals to me, but that's definitely not what I have. Maybe an aesthetic collection for me, because it's a little bit of a mishmash of stuff that generally aesthetically pleases me. It's probably what I would like it most to be like, but I don't know if I can really put it into a little category right now, just because there is so much weird stuff and not all stuff that I love. Like, I'm still working through some products that I'm just sort of so about that wouldn't be part of my collection if I had the ability to start over. Question 3 is, are you a completionist? Sometimes. Sometimes I am. It depends on what the product is. I've definitely been letting go of that. Like, I used to want every single Urban Decay heavy metal glitter liner, and at one point I did have them until they started to release more and more and more, and then it was just like, I can't keep buying them. And I wanted every ColourPop lippy stick, I wanted every ColourPop lip pencil. Like, there was something so appealing about that when you find a formula that you really like, to want every single piece of it. But then it's not really practical, because I know for myself I'm not gonna like every single color, I'm not gonna like everything on me, so it didn't make sense to have it, but it looks so nice to have, and it's just nice to have it in case you ever want to use it, but then that stuff does expire, so it's not like you would be able to have it forever. Question 4 is, how do you store, organize your collection? So it's kind of all over the place still. I really want to get it down to just a very small little section, but I have stuff that is in those plastic drawer sort of containers. I have the acrylic containers, the small little ones, little drawers or little compartments for like lipsticks and stuff like that. Stuff is kind of everywhere. I tend to live out of boxes all of the time. I'm currently doing a makeup basket roulette, so I'm trying to work through some of the stuff I have and decide what I really need to let go of, and that's been very helpful for me. So my organization of my makeup stash is very chaotic right now, and it's not where I want it to be. And I really need to figure that out as well. That's something I want to talk about at some point, kind of what I want the future of my makeup collection to look like. Question 5 is, what is your favorite thing about your collection? I think I like that I have a variety of product. I like that I have a lot of different finishes. I like that I have collected things over the last couple of years. There's definitely some things I look at and regret, but I like that I have so much available to me right now that I don't have to worry about going out and buying new things. Question 6 is, what is your least favorite thing / something to improve about your collection? So it's too big, and I'm definitely missing a couple of things. There's definitely a few things I know I could add to make my collection a little bit more versatile, but I'm not doing that. I'm just trying to look at what I have and work with what I have. But I wish that I had less of some categories, like powder, like base powders, because I just don't use them that often, and I wish I had more things like foundations. Question 7 is, what is the biggest category of your collection? The biggest category for me is probably eyeshadow. Definitely eyeshadow. Not just eyeshadow palettes, but just single shadows and various other forms that eyeshadow comes in. I have a lot of eyeshadow. Definitely too much eyeshadow. Question 8 is, what is the smallest category of your collection? Right now I'd say it has to be face primers because I have 1.5. I am dying for some new face primers. Question 9 is, do you have a holy grail in your collection? I have a couple of things that I would consider to be holy grails that I feel like I have to have on me all of the time. The first 2 things that come to mind is MAC Fix Plus and the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. It's my absolute favorite combination for setting spray, and I use Fix Plus for my eyeshadow. I love it so much. I just can't imagine not using that. Urban Decay's Road Stripe eyeshadow is definitely a holy grail for me, something that I love using, and it just, even just as like a little inner corner highlight, it just makes me so happy. I love it so much, that beautiful iridescent duochrome. I don't really think I have any other holy grail products right now, like things that are at least tried, tested, and true. Like, there's things that I absolutely love, but there's not really a lot of things that I've like repurchased a couple of times. So the Urban Decay color corrector, the pink one, and the Becca under eye corrector. Those are things I've repurchased many times, and they're staples in my collection, and I consider that to be a holy grail, something that I keep going back to. Question 10 is, do you ever wish your collection was bigger / smaller, or is it complete? It's not complete, and I do wish it was smaller. I just wish it was different. I made a lot of questionable choices purchasing some of the things that I did, and I wish that my collection was smaller but more well-rounded, I guess. Like, I don't have all of the finishes and foundations I would like. I don't have enough face primers that I personally like using. I am just missing a few things like that I think would just make my collection a little bit better to work with, and I have too many things like the face powders, which I mentioned before, and just like probably too many blushes as well, just too many similar shades of things. Even with eyeshadow, when I did my palette inventory, you can really see the sort of shades I've been drawn to, so that means I have a lot of duplicate, triplicate, a lot of the same eyeshadows. So I just wish that I had a different assortment of products than I currently have. Question 11 is, how often do you declutter makeup in your collection? So not very often. It's kind of weird with the YouTube stuff, because I know a lot of people kind of expect people who talk about makeup stuff to share all their declutters, and I have shared my declutters before, and people have a lot of opinions about the things you declutter. A lot of people try and kind of talk you into keeping things or talk you out of keeping things that you want to keep. I have decluttered some on my own, so when I would be using stuff, I would get rid of it if I found that it wasn't working for me, or it was just making me frustrated, or I felt like maybe it had expired, the quality wasn't great anymore. Right now with my makeup basket roulette, I haven't decluttered that stuff as in gotten rid of it. It is living in a separate box, so that when I do eventually get around to filming the makeup roulette update, I will talk about those things that I have already decided to get rid of after trying them. So anyway, long story short, I do declutter. It's just sporadic, and I can't say how many times I do it for sure. Question 12 is, do you ever get envious seeing other people's makeup collections? Absolutely. Some people have some amazing collections. It does look overwhelming sometimes, people who have so much stuff, but also some people have enough space to store this stuff. What overwhelms me is seeing people with massive collections in tiny spaces, which is kind of what I was dealing with just too much stuff for the space. But some people have, you know, whole giant rooms dedicated to their makeup, and it's beautiful, and it does make me envious of that. Like, I wish I had that whole room. I would want that collection in my space, right? And some people have small collections that are really well loved, and just I envy that, because I don't think I would ever be that kind of minimalist person. But some people have really found those things that they love, that they keep going back to, and that they really rely on, they know work for them, and I'm envious of that as well. Question 13 is, who on YouTube has the best makeup collection video? So I don't really watch makeup collection videos anymore, because I do find them to be kind of triggering for me to want to purchase things. Because with the makeup collection video, you're not just looking at storage or organization, which can make me want to purchase some of that stuff, but also people tend to focus on the things that they like, and they specifically mention those products that they like. And so I don't really watch them anymore. But some of my favorites that I watched in the past were Jaclyn Hill's old collection video and Samantha Ravindall's. I think Samantha has probably one of my favorite collections, or at least she did. I'm not sure what it currently looks like, but I really liked the variety of products that she had. There's a few like smaller YouTubers as well that have some like beautiful indie collections. Like, I'm really envious of people who are on indie brand PR lists and get all those beautiful collections of like those wonderful eyeshadows and unique products, and like the duochromes and all those crazy special pretty things. Like, I'm definitely envious of those. And the last question is, what's some advice you'd give to a future makeup collector? I don't really have advice for a future makeup collector. I would say don't collect makeup. Just, I personally don't think that it's really worth it to have a big collection all the time. I think it would be more cost effective long term to have a smaller collection that you can rotate through and sort of have your staple products and then add to that, to have things that work with that. Like, if you have your staple base products that work for you, then you can kind of add in here and there. And I'd say go slowly. Don't purchase a whole bunch of things at one time. Really figure out the stuff that you love and why you love it, and kind of keep going back to that. But don't be afraid to try a few new things here and there. But if you're looking at something that's just purely for your own usage, you really have to know what you like and what you don't like, so that you don't make those mistakes. And some of the biggest mistakes I've made was making too many purchases at one time. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make, where they're like, okay, I'm gonna buy 5 eyeshadow palettes. It's too much at one time, because it just becomes so overwhelming, and you can't possibly give full attention to all of those things. Whereas if you bought 1 or even 2, you'd be able to dedicate more time to them, and they'd still be very fresh and exciting. And so I guess my general advice would just be to start small. And, you know, if I could do this all over again, that's definitely what I would do. Is I would definitely go slowly instead of making insane massive purchases over and over and over again in a very short amount of time. Just go slow, take your time, figure out what your preferences are, try and work through some products before you buy new things, because you do have a lot of time. You know, if you only have a couple of products, it's a lot easier to go through them than if you have like 20 or 30 in one category. So I guess just remember that makeup does expire, and if you do intend to use it on your face, don't get too much, because you only have one face. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Georgia for creating this tag. I know I'm very, very late on doing this tag at all, but it has been a journey for me this year as well. And I think my answers are very different now than what they would have been if I had done this tag when Georgia had originally done it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any video requests, if there's anything you would like to see from me. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so, so much for watching, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.